All right, welcome in. Cube Show podcast, college football podcast, usually comes to you on Sunday, and we're just going to can that. We're going to go to Mondays in the fall. That way can get the games watched, get all the film in, specifically early in the season when it's going to be rough. Thought about waiting, doing maybe an Auburn, Missouri episode Saturday morning. I thought nobody's going to watch this thing sitting around Saturday when there's actual live football on, so that would be a waste of time. We'll jam them all in on Monday. All the games, all the teams, you know what it is. I wanted to give you one little episode before we get to fall to let everybody know that has come in and been a little bit new what we do in the fall. I'm going to watch every game, every team, every play. I'm going to break down what I saw for you on film from every SEC team, all 16. We do it every week. That's what you're going to get here on this show. You're brought to us by Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious. You guys know that each and every week. We have them. We snack on them. We love them. So let's just do a little bit of a week one preview, give you some final predictions of some things that are going to go around in college football and also in the SEC this week. So some things I've heard through camp, some things I'm hearing about these teams. Let's take a look at week one. Obviously, Missouri's going to go Thursday night. Not really concerned about that. Am interested in seeing Sam Horn, Bo Prabula, 1/2 each and kind of how that plays out, what that looks like. So that'll be interesting, but I don't know how much we're going to learn about that team against Central Arkansas. Auburn Baylor is going to be fascinating for a lot of reasons. I was asked a couple of times this week, if I could have one game to watch this weekend, which game would it be? And I think that would be the one for me because of how many different directions I think it can go. Key for Auburn, I think, not that you don't want to use him, not that he doesn't need to make plays. I actually think take as much of the heavy lifting off of Jackson Arnold as you can. Give him high percentage throws. Actually, you know what? Rewind, subtract that. Run the football first. That opens up everything. That gives you the game plan that you need. That sets the tone, the tempo for what I think the recipe is to go win this football game. You run the football. That'll open up some of the option stuff as far as the RPOs. That'll open up some of the option stuff in the run game for Jackson Arnold, keeping the football. And then if he gets going with his legs, that's going to widen the defense. So those defensive ends going to be playing out just a little bit more. Maybe opens up a little bit more of the inside run game because there's a big body in the middle of that defense you're going to have to manage and deal with. But if you get that going, then I think it's easier for Jackson Arnold with some of the emphasis coming down on the backs to be able to keep the football, pick up yards. And then with alley defenders or DBs, safeties, corners coming up to play Q run, that's going to give a talented group of wide receivers either one-on-ones or some easier throws down the field. Find Cam Coleman one-on-one down the field. Find some high percentage, uncovered quick screens to Eric Singleton, slants to Eric Singleton. Let him do some of the heavy lifting. Let that talented receiver core go out and make a lot of this happen. And then your defense, if they need to, can play a little bit more aggressive. Try to get to Sawyer Robertson. If they need to come up, try to spike the stretch zone play, which I think is going to stay inside this Baylor offense. You're able to do that and not be as worried about some of the new pass concepts are going to be coming in from an air raid guy. So keep in mind, Jake Spavital, air raid tree, taking over at Baylor for Jeff Grimes, who's now gone to Wisconsin. This has been a stretch zone-based team. So what you've seen at App the last couple of years, what you see at Missouri, Boise, that's what you're going to get from the run game. And I think Baylor keeps it. So I'm also interested to see how much they stay with that, how much they go with some new stuff, how much does Robertson push the ball down the field. Hearing great things about Auburn's front seven, hearing great things about Auburn's secondary through camp. Can that be enough? I think Auburn has a chance to get to the quarterback, but you got to win on first down to be able to make that happen. Here in the secondary, acting grown up, making plays, doing different things. And DJ Durkin has implemented some new things that have really given the offense fits throughout fall camp. So take as much of the heavy lifting off Jackson Arnold. Don't make him make as many decisions. More call it and run it. And that doesn't mean it has to be a run play, by the way. Just, hey, we get this coverage, we're throwing this route. Otherwise, check to the handoff, go to it. Don't even let him check to the handoff. Call the handoff and just give it to him, run it. If you're running the football, you're more confident in doing those things. Take some of the decisiveness, take some of the decision-making away, take some of the more difficult throws, maybe even the longer progressions out of it, and then just let him go be an athlete, let him utilize his skill set to be able to make plays. The other part of this game I find super interesting is how does Dave Aranda play it defensively? Because I believe there are two trains of thought here, which you can say this about almost any game, but I think it's very applicable here on both sides. Most people would say, I think initially I would think Dave Aranda going to stack the run. All right, big offensive line. You heard him this week complimenting Auburn's offensive line, complimenting the backs, saying that slam technique that they use to bounce up to the linebackers for double teams, very efficient. They eject defensive linemen. I get it. Yeah, it's good. If you think that's going to work, you probably want another body down in the box to be able to make a play. You want to try to move up front to cause some commotion, cause some problems. Okay, I get it. I see it. Maybe that's it. The other train of thought would be Dave Aranda plays back, plays off a little bit. This would mean he has the utmost confidence in his team as a tackling unit and says, all right, quarterback, go beat me. Maybe even you jam things in the box, but your coverage is off and you say, throw your slants, throw your outs, throw the quick game. You can have all of it. We don't think it's going to be enough to beat us because we're going to control the clock. We think we'll get a couple of points here and there, and then you're not going to be able to win that way. And we think that your offensive coordinator, your quarterback, will get impatient, thus forcing a mistake on our part that we get to take advantage of. There's a lot of things going to be interesting in that game. Obviously, Waco, I guess it's a blackout. Crowd's going to be into it. Message board saying don't give your tickets to Auburn fans. RG3's back. I just think there's a lot of intrigue there. I know what Texas and Ohio State is, and I have a much better idea about those two teams, even though there are still questions of what they're going to be, than I think what I might know or might not know about Auburn and Baylor. Because Auburn wins this game by 3 on a late field goal, which field goal kicker now looks like it could be an issue for Auburn in this game, which on the road, weird kicking things, not what you want, not recipe for going in there and getting a W. However, they get this W. All of a sudden, you could be looking back on this game early November saying, that's a hell of a win. That's a great win. And all of a sudden, you're hanging your hat on that one, thinking this is going to help our season look pretty good. So all of those things, I think, play into this. I think we'll have more questions answered about these two teams than we will maybe in Texas and Ohio State, or maybe even in Clemson and LSU. So let's go to Texas, Ohio State. I hear a lot of people really talking about how and why Texas can't win this game. I think it's interesting, and it's no disrespect towards Ohio State, but why are there not more questions as to how can they win this game? Julian Sands throwing a handful of passes in college football. You go dissect them, watch them. It's got a good arm, but it doesn't wow you. You don't look at it and say, that's the guy. That dude, when he gets his chance, is going to go out there and beat a lot of football teams. 2 high-caliber running backs are going to be gone. Shuffle the offensive line a little bit, not as big of a concern. Tight end, I think, is a little bit of a concern for Ohio State. And I think the defensive front is a bit of a concern. But it's not as big of an issue because we don't know what the Texas offensive line is going to look like. Texas, you bring in injuries, tight end from Cal, who I don't think is too far behind Gunnar Helm. But my biggest question for Texas, being on the road week 1, in that environment against that brand, those stickers – not that logo, but those stickers and that team and that metallic helmet, is guys like Jake Majors, Gunnar Helm, even a Quinn Ewers, who have been around the program, been around the system, been around the scheme, had the trust of each other, not being there. How does that look? What is that like? Now, you got an inside linebacker that brings all of that to the table. All right. And you got a couple other guys on defense. I mean, Trey Moore's been around the block at UTSA and Texas. All right, guys, don't forget about Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. New office open in Trussville, by the way. So if you're in Trussville, outside the Birmingham area, you can go check that out. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. See if they have a location near you. You sign up for that free consultation, free PSA test, free testosterone test. You're going to go in with that free consultation, find out where your baseline health is, and they're going to say peptides can help you out. We'll mix you up some and get you just right. Or testosterone replacement, one of our weight loss programs. A lot of different ways they want to help you feel better. That's why you need to do this right now. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Sign up for that free consultation. Tell them you heard about them right here on Cube Show. And keep in mind, minimal upfront cost for all the programs they offer. Very different than a lot of other places. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Okay? So you do have some of those guys on that side of the football, but some of the overly reliant players on offense for Texas are gone. Doesn't mean Ryan Wingo is not a bona fide superstar in the making. Doesn't mean that Arch isn't a bona fide superstar in the making. We don't know. We'll see. But I do think that part of it, and not getting rattled and not making those big mistakes, not having penalties, not having procedure issues, all of those things, not going the wrong way for a handoff or not calling a slide protection in the wrong direction, getting your quarterback killed. Those are things that you didn't have to worry about as much with the guys you had last year that maybe are a bit of a concern this year. I just still think Texas gets this game. The other thing that we argued about on my morning show this week is Jeremiah Smith. I put the over-under at 9 receptions in this game. I think he's going to get his no matter what. You're going to find ways to get him his. Most other guys on the show said, no way he gets close to that. That'll be one to watch. That'll be one interesting. I like Texas in the game. A little bit more athleticism, a little bit more speed, on the road, tough. I do think you can utilize Arch's legs, not just as an escape manner, but also design some things up to keep that defense just a little bit unbalanced. And Matt Patricia hasn't done this. I trust Steve Sarkisian more in this setting as an offensive coordinator that's been there and done it than I do Patricia, who hasn't done it at the collegiate level. Does he think he can put in a lot more than the guys can handle? Does he understand what things are going to be like in game? The communication in the helmet? We don't know. It might be amazing. It might not. We don't know. But I'll take Texas to get that one. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and go with Auburn to get that game against Baylor, which enjoy this, guys, because you're not going to be able to make fun of me for my picks all year. I don't do a show going into weekends, but I'm going to do this one for you. Tennessee, Syracuse, be very careful. That's all I'm going to say. A lot of Tennessee fans have sort of questioned me, some things that I've said through the course of the week about why I think this game's going to be dangerous, why to look out for this game. Number one, Fran Brown has proven that he's going to get physicality at the line of scrimmage. They're going to get guys that maybe can't overpower you, but they're going to give you the effort to be able to go get some wins there. So that's a part of this game that I look at and say could be problematic. Steve Angeli could be problematic. I mean, you took a quarterback last year that Ohio State fans were all lining up to help put his stuff in the moving van to get him out of town because Kyle McCord couldn't go throw the football, and he goes and sets multiple ACC passing records last year. Steve Angeli comes in the Orange Bowl, leading Notre Dame down the field, cold off the bench, throwing darts. I think this kid's got talent. I think he's got moxie. I think he's a gamer, and I think he can have a big year at Syracuse. The thing that I'm concerned about is if you get an attacking front that is going to be relentless, even if they can't overpower you, even if they're not bigger, stronger, faster than you, against an offensive line that has some question marks, that doesn't have that continuity with their quarterback, and there's some questions about where do we slide this protection? Who does the back have in this protection? Do we need to get out of this? No, I thought you had that. New center, new quarterback and new system, new offensive lineman all around. I don't love that recipe against the style of defense that they're going to see. Not that the players are that much better, but just against the style. Where Tennessee can win this game is with their defensive line. They have an opportunity to dominate up front defensively. And I know James Pierce is gone, and I know a couple of other losses, but they had 3 waves of D tackles and D ends last year. Some are going to be back. And I think that group can still go and have their way and dominate this football game. That's how Tennessee has to get this win if they're going to do it. I'm going to ride with the Vols here because one thing that Josh Heupel has always been able to do is find good quarterback play, maybe not elite, but good quarterback play and run the football. And that's what I think Tennessee is going to want to do. I expect tempo, which, again, I get nervous with that because Joey Aguilar has experience, but I'm just telling you, technically, fundamentally, from an operation perspective, this offense is different. They spend days in the preseason of how to get lined up, where to go line up on the field, which official to give the football to, what receiver doesn't run a route, what receiver does run a route on certain plays. It takes time, and he hasn't had it. Bottom line, hasn't had the time that he needs to be able to do that. But I'm going to still lean Tennessee here with finding the ability to run the football and finding a way to get it done on the ground with that defensive line, not allowing Syracuse to get the ground game going. Closer, though. Closer. I think that's a sneaky good game that a lot of people aren't talking about. I think Mississippi State does get Southern Miss. There are a lot of people scared of this game. I know a lot of the Marshall kids are coming down there to Hattiesburg, understand it, get it, know it. But I do like a lot of the additions that State made. Bottom line, Blake Shapen's back in the offense. I think these guys have an understanding of what it's like to be around each other. I think the defense plays a little bit more responsibly this year because you still got the effort from them late last year. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this one, but they do get it. Another one that's going to be dangerous, Kentucky and Toledo. Watch out for this tight end group, Kentucky, because one, Jason Candle can call plays. Jason Candle can design an offense, and these are going to be bodies that they're going to move, try to find matchup problems with, and potentially can exploit different parts of this football team. 2 things have to happen here for Kentucky. One, they got to go back to Mark Stoops' original style of football, which was we're not more talented, we're not faster, we're not sleeker, we're not prettier, but by God, we're the team you'd least like to fight in an alley in this league. They need to get back to that. And if they do, I think it goes a long way in this game because they should be bigger, stronger, faster than Toledo. Maybe not every position, but at most. The offensive linemen, Jagger, Burton, and company, they have bodies who have played. Not a lot of them have played together. You got a transfer from New Mexico coming in who's not your prototypical tackle, but could probably go act as a bar bouncer in a very successful manner if need be. So those are the kind of guys that you're putting up there. Go find a way to push some people around. You have backs that can create explosive plays. Bush Hamden's offense work. It's an extra year with the stretch play. You should be more comfortable with that. You got Caddis back at tight end, who's an extra bulldozer that you can line up there and extend the defense out a little bit and be able to find a little more push. And then you have a quarterback that can push the ball down the field. And Zach Calzada has made some mistakes and hasn't always played clean football. But one thing I do know is that operating off play action is going to give quarterbacks deliberate shots down the field. It's hard to make mistakes on those, and he has the arm to get it down there. So you go get guys like Kendrick Law from Alabama tells me we want to be a little bit more rugged. We want to be a team that can pop you in the face a little bit more often. If they do that and they don't make the big mistakes, I think Kentucky wins this game. I do think it has a chance. They've been a slow starting team the last couple of years. They've dropped one that they shouldn't have. But I do think that all the pieces that have remained, you look at Saunders and a couple of those other defensive linemen have been there for a while. Alex Safari played safety and linebacker. They have bodies, Lovett, who've been there, played in Brad White's system. I don't think that defense is just going to fall off the face of the earth. And with the experience at quarterback, running backs that can get it, and a couple of receivers like Macklin that they thought they were going to get from 2 years ago, a year ago, and now maybe they can get it. I think Kentucky's going to be okay. I think it's going to get back to being a little bit better than people expect, and they get that game. Georgia's going to handle Marshall. The thing that I want to see from Georgia this year, offensive line jail continuity. They have bodies who have been successful at almost every position that they're going to play. Great group of tight ends, one of the most underrated group of skill players in college football, which is crazy to say from one of the premier programs, but it's true. They got dudes at wide receiver and tight end. Big dudes, little dudes, fast dude, big catch radius dudes, all different types of guys, which is going to make a new quarterback's life a hell of a lot easier. And I think they're going to go back to trying to run the football. Ernest Green, contract year. I think we get the film from him 2 years ago as opposed to the film last year. So I think Georgia contends for an SEC title. Not worried about them against Marshall. We'll talk about them a little bit more towards the end of the show. Alabama, Florida State. Don't like the fact that Tim Keenan's not in there. But keep in mind, this is not an inside zone duo team Florida State's bringing at you that's going to try to run in the A-gaps 32 times a game. You're not getting that. So if there was a game that you may not need him as much, this would be one of those games. And I'm not talking about your non-cons that you're going to sleepwalk through, but this would be one that you look at and say, okay, stylistically, we can probably get away with it. You'd love to have him in there with all the perimeter run that you're going to get to keep those two linebackers clean and allow Deontay Lawson to be able to run and make plays. Not that they don't have another body that can maybe do that, but probably not as well because Keenum can hold the point extremely well. That's why he's been a starter for a long time. It's why he's valuable in that defense. The bigger concern to me comes the guys that are going to be out on the end of the line of scrimmage. Jamarian Latham, Quay Russaw, some of the edgier defenders with alley runs, perimeter runs, jet sweeps, things of that nature, the quick throws, the extensions of the run game. You got to get ball carriers on the ground on those plays. Because when those plays go out on early downs, that turns into tempo, that widens the defense, that gets you running a lot more miles in a game than you need to, which can wear you down late. And we know Castellanos has the ability to break you down. It's going to take multiple mistakes from Ty Simpson, the offensive line for Alabama being sloppy, Thomas Castellanos taking over, and maybe even another kicking game mistake or two for Alabama to lose this game. I don't see him dropping it. I think it's a simple game plan offensively. You get your shots in every now and then. You're going to see Ryan Williams move a little bit more and be lined up different places, maybe in the backfield, coming out of the backfield, catching some short intermediate stuff. Force feed him, let him go make a couple plays. And I think Alabama cruises to a win here. There will be a headache or two here and there, a couple of scary moments, but I think Alabama's comfortably on top of this one. I think they go get that W. Hey, guys, excited to tell you that I just got a shipment in from Roback. Go to Roback.com, promo code COLD20. Monday night, read and react. That's what I'll be sporting. Roback almost every week. Got me some hoodies, got me some long sleeve tees, got me some polos, ready to roll for football season. And they got the team gear in now too. New team gear for all the SEC teams at Roback.com. You can use promo code COLE20 to go save 20% on your purchase. That's Roback.com. Arkansas, I think, takes care of Alabama A&M. Can the D-line stay healthy? Is the offensive line really back? I think you'll see a better offensive line in Fayetteville this year. Taylon Green takes a step. We don't know a ton about this receiving core, but we have heard some good things. And they got a couple hammers at running back. So if the O-line is good, watch out. And this lower-level tight end that they got, I went and watched his film. He can run. So he's a guy that can help stretch the middle of the field at the same time. Oklahoma's going to get Illinois State. I feel great about Oklahoma this year. Offensive line's got to stay healthy and got to be better. John Mateer can have the heavy lifting on him. He can do it all. He can run. He can throw on the run. He can make plays with his legs. He can make plays with his arm. Bit of a gunslinger. Will throw the ball to the other team at times. So some of the high-risk stuff in the bigger games I do think needs to neutralize itself. But you go get Jade Knott, who can also act as just a guy that can bulldoze a defense. Somebody who I think is overly reliable and that I love. I love his style of play. He fits right in with what Beatenbow and those guys want to do up front. And now you have Mateer with him and maybe the most explosive player in college football. Nobody's talking about Deion Burks. I'm going to be honest with you. The season for Oklahoma is just on health. That's it. Because Bedenbaugh can coach the O-line. If they have the bodies that are in there together, he'll get them right. Jay not running the football, Mateer working his magic, Deion Burks, the best defensive line in the SEC. Also, keep in mind, I love getting Patrick Payton here, even though his film the last year and a half hasn't been as good as we've seen at other times, shows me that Venables probably knows that defensive line can be as good as it was. And what did he run mostly when he was at Clemson? He had all those first rounders, 4-man front, even front. So he would basically go out there and say, we just going to let these boys tee off. We don't have to twist. We don't have to slant. We don't have to stunt. We don't have to replace. We don't have to run backers through because these dudes are about to eat. And I think he may be going back to a little bit more of that this year, especially with him at the controls. Because there were some times last year that it was overly aggressive. In my opinion, it worked a lot, but didn't think they needed to be as move happy as they were. But now he's back in control, and we'll see how that goes. Florida's going to get Long Island. The story of the season is, can the secondary be good? Not great, just good, to let Caleb Banks and company go crazy and DJ Lagway healthy. Because Jaden Baugh is going to wreck shop 100%. That offensive line is going to be good. The wide receiver is going to be solid. DJ Lagway is the man. But he's got to be available. That's it. He's got to be available. Florida could put a good year together. A&M need to see Marcel Reed take a step. I think the O-line can be good. I think they have good backs. Wide receivers taking a hit already. I don't like seeing that. But Casey Concepcion's a game changer. He changes the game. And he can get the ball in a lot of different places. He will be Marcel Reed's best friend. Got to be available. Got to be healthy. They need him. Don't have a lot of others like him. But if you're running the football and you're moving people and you have a mobile quarterback, that's going to leave somebody like Casey Concepcion a lot of options and a lot of ways to be toyed with and tinkered with to be able to go make plays. The front's not going to be what it was last year, but Elko's in charge. The defense ain't taking a big step back. Veteran linebackers will help there also. Vanderbilt's going to get Charleston Southern. I'm a little frustrated with a lot of the talk of Vanderbilt just going away. Just to be honest with you. I don't think that this is a group that just disappears. I don't think they go away. Bulk of the defense is going to be back. We've seen now with the head coach getting his hands back on the defense what it can look like. I think you got a couple of good edge rushers. You got some active linebackers. You don't have the girth up front on the defensive line that you probably like to have annually, week in, week out, but they can survive off of it. They have hybrid defenders that can go safety, nickel, linebacker, and play different spots that can cause problems visually and confuse some teams. And then they address the offensive line through the portal. And that was one of the bigger problems offensively. Now, Pavia's got to get a little bit more consistent through the air. I don't really know if that comes. He might just be what he is. But the trade-off with that is he's a friggin' bulldog. And he'll go get you a game every now and then. Cedric Alexander is the most underrated player in the Southeastern Conference. I said it, player in the conference. One, he hasn't been given the opportunity to go out and do the things he's capable of doing. And Clark Lee told us at Media Days that one of their biggest offseason emphasis was finding ways to get him more yards before he's touched, because his yards before contact was like 1.2 or something, like one of the lowest in the SEC. You have a tight end that no one in America can match up with. You have receivers that can get the football down the field. You have a mobile quarterback that can grind games out with physical runs between the tackle, not just speed option stuff or eluding defenders in the backfield. You have a running back that can carry the load and create explosives when need be. Where are they going to go? We just think Tim Beck's not going to try to find anything different offensively this year. He's just going to go in there in the office every day and say, well, we were pretty good, so we'll just try it again this year. No. Vanderbilt's going to be a hard out again this year. Another tough out. LSU Clemson. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun watch. But Peter Woods and this defensive line, I think, are the difference in this game. I don't think LSU can offset it. One, I don't think they're going to try to run the football enough to offset it. If Caden Durham and those guys are better at running back, great. It doesn't matter how good they are if they don't touch the football. And if Garrett Nussmeier has this oblique deal, or if the knee is real from what we heard a couple of weeks ago, and he's not able to do the things that he's really capable of doing, and that slows this offense down at all of a sudden Clemson's life just got a lot easier. Active linebacker in Sammy Brown, defensive lineman that can get after you, an offensive line that should be much better, especially by Clemson standards. That Matt Luke was really good by Dabo a couple of years ago. Okay, they're young at running back. You have a top 3 quarterback in college football who can break you down with his legs. Here's the thing about some of these older QBs. I'm fine saying, oh, he's just that guy, or he's not going to be better. He can't do this or that. Cade Klubnik took massive strides last year. Massive strides. To think that if he carries himself that way and operates that way, that he doesn't make any progress going into this year with that talented group of wide receivers, you're crazy. I got Clemson winning the national championship, and I think they get LSU in this game. I do think LSU's defense can cause problems. Interested to see the health of Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins. I think that the kamikaze style of football that they're going to play is going to be problematic for anybody because Whit Weeks makes plays. Harold Perkins can make plays. And you bring in a Jack Pyburn who is essentially a C-ball. Remember Ram Man from He-Man? The guy that had like the steel head and like his face was just barely in there. Like Jack Pyburn essentially is Ram Man from He-Man. Like he wants to run around and just run into things and hurt them. And like he just wants to dent things. Great fit for that defense. All new secondary. Are they going to be able to cover? Are they going to communicate? I don't know. And I don't want to find out against this group. So some of those pressures and movements, stunts, blitzes, whatever doesn't happen and Klubnik does get the time, or if they get too far upfield and they allow him to go crazy with his legs, it's going to be a problem. Also, I'm going to say this. Not as big a problem as people are going to make it out to be is Brian Kelly losing his openers. You can sit there and say he can't get over the hump. He can't do this. This is problematic. Look who he's played. So we can go sit there and say Dan Mullen 13-2 in openers. Who was Florida playing in their openers? They put Michigan once. Okay, I'll give it to you. You're playing the Sharks this week. Florida doesn't normally play tough openers. State doesn't normally play tough openers. So there's some guys out there who's maybe their first week's record's a little bit clouded. Nothing against Dan. I think Dan's a great coach. He's going to do good things at UNLV. But I also think Brian Kelly, specifically at LSU, has lined up against some giants, some behemoths in week one, and that should not be held against him. Now, does it add pressure to you for the rest of the season? Does it force you to play different football when you know you don't have another mulligan or many other strikes against you? It does. And I think that can be difficult with kids this age and the lack of continuity on some teams. But I still expect LSU to be in the mix no matter what because they have too much talent and too many guys that know how to win games. All right, guys, you've heard me talking about pizza pulls. You can click right here. Go get the Fanatics Live app. Get that. If you're trying to get back into the hobby like me, and you're going to find my friends at Pizza Pulls. So you'll go to search, and then you'll go to pizza, and then you'll go to shops. Let's see what we got going right now. If anybody's in the house here checking them out, what do we got? Oh, okay. We're doing a little NFL break right here. We got Gary in there. We got Donruss Optic, some Deca. Oh, we got a little new product in over there. So all the new NFL stuff is coming out. College football is going to be out in about a month. And I'm going to tell you this. The best breaker of the college football product, the college football cards on planet Earth, is at Pizza Pulls. I'll be breaking every Wednesday. I'm going to move from Tuesday to Wednesday. Go to pizzapulls.com, see what they can do for you. They're also on Whatnot, and go check them out today. Basketball, Pokemon, Garbage Pail Kids. You get in all that at Pizza Pulls. My boy Matt is going to be breaking Major League Baseball products. They got Topps Finest in now. He's got the autographed baseballs from Fanatics as well. They have a Babe Ruth autographed baseball on that, by the way, which is completely insane to think about if you were to hit that. Skeens, Acuna, all the big hitters are in there. Go check out Pizza Pulls. I'm breaking cards every Tuesday. Do we have anything to show you? Maybe a little Brandon Scherf, Taylor Lewan dual patch auto booklet, draft treasures. Okay, just something we picked up for the O-line collection here recently. Show you that. Get that going. Pizzapulls.com. Check them out. I'll be there every Wednesday breaking football. I've got Ole Miss, Georgia State. Be interested to see Austin Simmons. All signs point to him being a badass. I don't really know another way to say it. Talented group of wide receivers, haven't all been there. Is the offensive line going to take strides? Is Logan Diggs even going to be the guy at running back? Who else is going to come in and maybe take some of those carries? How electric can the run game be? You're already dinged up at tight end, which is probably not going to allow you to run as much 12 personnel as you want. That's one back, two tight ends, because I think when you can emphasize the tight ends in this offense, that's when it unlocks. And that's when it kind of goes. But you got one that can make some plays. It can be scary. I think Ole Miss is going to be good. I don't know if the defensive line can keep them in or win them games like they did a year ago. Secondary might be fine. Might be great. Don't know. Haven't seen them all play together. Linebacker's going to be good. Daugherty's solid. We know that. He can play. But I do think it's a slight step back. But we're talking like in the 8-9 win range. It's not like they're falling off the face of the earth. Similar to Vanderbilt. They're not going to fall off the face of the earth. Finally, Virginia Tech, South Carolina. Want to see the South Carolina offensive line because apparently they're getting younger. But South Carolina has something that I think only Auburn has in the league, and that's real tackle depth. I don't know another team outside of South Carolina and Auburn to have as many guys who have played meaningful football at tackle and a lot of times played well than those two teams do. Could be a great benefit. Could be a big problem. You don't want to have to use a lot of depth over the course of the season. But it's probably the most important word in college football right now, depth. Who can survive the hits when a left guard? I mean, think about when Tate Ratledge went down for Georgia last year. Different football team, not a different O-line, a different team. Most teams can't survive what's next, and then the hit that you take is going to affect you in other places. But I want to see that O-line. I want to see the young core group of receivers. I am not as down on the South Carolina defense as a lot of other people are. Brian Thomas has played. Monkel Goodwine's played. He's been in the system for a while. You have other defensive linemen, and you go look at that safety group and nickel group and corner group. I mean, Judge Kilgore, DJ Collier, these guys, like we've been calling their names for 2, 3, 4 years. And don't discount Clayton White. The dude can coach. He's good. So here's where it's going to be. A bunch of teams are in it going into November. Your Floridas, Auburns, Oklahomas, Ole Misses in it going into October. LSU's, Bama, Georgia, Texas also going to be there. All right. So I think with the offensive line issues and a younger quarterback, and maybe some of the differences on the interior of the defensive line and the leadership on the back end of the defense changing over a little bit at Texas, I don't see him in the SEC championship game this year. I just don't. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Bama's knocking on the door of it. Georgia's knocking on the door of it. It's going to come down to a couple big games late. Obviously, both those teams have younger quarterbacks. Both those teams could have big-time offensive lines. Hard to really decipher whose weapons you would choose one way or the other. The tight end group might actually push Georgia over the hump. And with early injuries to running back, I think probably Bama would fall behind Georgia just a little bit. Might like Bama up front just a little bit more. But Elo Madozi is going to make a difference for Georgia this year. I promise you that. The transfer from Auburn is going to make a big difference. I think Georgia's in the SEC championship game. I think Oklahoma's in the SEC championship game. I think there's too much talent. There's too many guys that can get it. Too many takeover guys on that Oklahoma roster. All they need to do is stay somewhat healthy and get an offensive line to gel and have some continuity and not lose their playmakers in an abundance manner in which they did a year ago. And I think Georgia and Oklahoma are in the SEC championship game. I think you'll get Alabama still in the playoffs. And I think you'll have probably 3 to 4 other teams that are right there knocking on the door. Florida, LSU, maybe in Auburn, maybe in Ole Miss, are all going to be sitting there waiting, asking how can their invitation be had to get into the college football playoff. So that's kind of my SEC preview, my week 1 preview. I wanted to give you guys one more episode. I owed you that. We've had some scheduling issues, getting the kids back in school, getting the season started, meetings, coaches meetings, but we got this done. And now you know what comes next. Monday, we'll have watched all the film. We'll let you know what we saw. We will not sugarcoat it. We'll just break it down for you that way. And we'll do that for the next, 16, 17 weeks. We appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the show. Please tell your friends about it. We like to think that we do something that nobody else does. And we're going to bring it to you each and every week thanks to Wickles Pickles. Take care of our sponsors because they take care of us. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the games.